One of the most important reasons why reels are so powerful, according to Chris, is that in 2022, the airwaves are going to be more crowded than ever. After COVID, so many brick and mortar businesses are moving online, which is making the airwaves incredibly busy, incredibly noisy places. And he said it's going to be harder than ever to have your stuff be seen in 2022 because it's going to be so noisy. But what is present is the opportunity for virality, and it is more accessible than it ever has been before. On top of that, Reels get 2 to 4 times as much reach as any other thing you can post, 2 to 4 times as much reach as like a regular post. They also last longer. So your average reel is going to last for 2 weeks in the feed, being shown to new people, as opposed to just one day, maybe 2 days if you're lucky. So again, which would you prefer? Would you rather make a post and have it have a shelf life of about 1 or 2 days? Or would you rather have something that can continually bring you people for up to 2 weeks later? I don't know about you, but I'd rather, again, be in the 2 week camp. All of the platforms are moving towards micro content because videos are such great tools for connection, right? We live in a world where we are connection deprived, right? We're living in a world where people are increasingly lonely, and there is nothing like a video to really have that know, like, and trust factor that really helps build that trust that allows you to ultimately sell more and connect with the perfect clients, the people who are going to be those soulmate clients who are just going to be such a delight to work with. Instagram themselves in July said that they are no longer a photo sharing app. How many of you guys heard that, right? They're no longer a photo sharing app. They are going to be a video app now. So if you haven't gotten hip to doing video, now is the time, right? No better time than like the present, like to get started with this skill set. And I promise you, it is easier than it looks. She and I worked together, and after we did a launch together, we decided to switch her niche. And we switched to something that was much more aligned for her, that she was more excited about. And I told her to focus on growth activities like Reels and less on doing things that were like administrative, taking up her time and not really growing her audience. And within 2 weeks of doing that, Steph had a reel go viral, and it had been on her thing for about 2 weeks. And I got a message like this from Steph. It was like, Bonnie, I think I just went viral. Oh my God, there's so many messages in my inbox. Holy crap. And 7 days later, she had 20,000 new people who were in her DMs, who were sending her messages saying, holy crap, I can't believe I found your page. This is so valuable. She had so many people filling out her client application form that she couldn't read them all. And she very quickly was able to double her coaching rates and fill out her signature program and be so much more choosy in who she worked with. And again, make twice as much working with half as many people. So if that's not a good reason to start doing reels, I don't know what is. And I love the fact that since that time of the original training, she has gone viral again and again. And now, just a few months later, she's at 53,000 followers on Instagram. And it's all come from doing a few not so fancy reels. And you can replicate this pattern as well, right? You can take what we learned from Steph and use it in your own business so you can get more clients, more customers, more followers, and more impact. So you can genuinely change people's lives, even if you think reels are kind of silly, right? Like, and you don't really like, them as a medium, right? They're not going anywhere. And it's just one of the best ways to connect with people easily. There wasn't any content that didn't have to do with those things. It was all centered around the problems of the ideal customer, the dreams, the fantasies, the things they really want aspirationally, and all the problems they're running into, and helping build authority within that by teaching them really valuable subjects, making them laugh, and helping them know that they know exactly where they're at within those content. What we didn't see there was we didn't see hardly any personal content, hardly any storytelling about who they were or their story, right? Within the realm of who went viral, they created a Netflix like effect where all the content was within one category. And when someone would land on the page, they'd watch one video, then watch another video, then watch another video, then watch another video. And this would indicate to Instagram that this content was A, really good, super relevant to the certain person, and binge worthy. And when that happens, that's what triggers the algorithm to be like, oh, wow, like we should promote this person. They're like showing up regularly, like people really like their stuff, they're returning to the page. And that's what I want to help you create today. So there ain't no man in the sky that is saying that some people's content is good and some people's content is not good. Remember, this is all algorithms. This is all machines. And the machines don't like validate or invalidate your content. All they're looking at is patterns. And so we're going to dive into the Instagram patterns today to reveal what are the machines looking at so that you can hack the algorithm and get better results with less effort. And primarily, the thing we're going to be focusing on is making sure that your content is consistently for one person and it is very clear what it is about. If you can do those two things, the algorithms are going to favor you because they're looking at who is going to like this, right? What have they liked before? What's their relationship to you? And what have they liked in the past? How can we show this specific person more of what they've liked? So what we're going to focus on is who are we talking to and what are we talking to them about, and making those two things incredibly consistent so that you can go further faster with this stuff. When it comes to being a millionaire in this digital marketing space, there's two types of people. There's the type of people who are going to be like, oh yeah, market research. Yeah. Like that's a nice step, but I'm not going to do it. It's too tedious, too much work. I sort of kind of get it. Right. And then there's the people who are going to become millionaires, and they're the people who are going to make the biggest impact, and they care nothing more than to understand their customers. And he said that those are the kinds of people who are going to do really well, who the type of people who do that extra step are going to do phenomenal in this market. And so I don't know about you, but like when I heard that, I was like, I want to be in the second camp. And so I always start every kind of campaign, whether it's for myself or one of my clients, in understanding exactly who we're talking to. Because if we don't do that, everything else falls flat. It's like not having the proper foundation for a house. Everything else crumbles. It doesn't really matter if we don't know who we're talking to, if we're not speaking into a way that's going to land on them. Everything else can be perfect, but it's just not going to work. There isn't any powerful, huge thought leader in our space that is literally just copying someone else. Like you think about every person that you look up to, Lori Harder, Marie Forleo, like Chris Harder, all these people who Grant Cardone, right? All these people are just so distinctly themselves, right? No one is just trying to be just like someone else. So when we're creating reels, like we don't want to just like make the same exact reel as someone else. But there is good news. There is such a thing called ethical stealing, where we can fast track the process and understand what people's content is about. And that's going to help us speed up that very essential market research step that I just spoke about, and really help you get further faster by understanding exactly what your audience is going through. So, like, let's say we're creating a presentation on something really cool, like viral reels, for instance, and we want to make sure that we're making lots of content, presentations, reels, micro content that is going to really hit our target audience. So, one way to go about this would be to go and like talk to lots of people and be like, so what are you frustrated about with reels? And they'll be like, yeah, da, 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 da. And that's all well and good, but that takes a really long time. You're going to get evidence that's all over the place. And it's going to be kind of frustrating and annoying because there may not be very clear patterns, and it's going to take a really long time. Another way to do this is to have an intern, assistant, $5 an hour VA go through other people's contents and map out what is it about, what are the pain points, what are people frustrated with, and what are the dreams and desires. Okay. under the dreams and desires area, we're going to put that they probably want to go viral, that they probably want to have a lot of audience growth. And if I want to speak to their concerns, I need to address that pain point of my thoughts on, should they be going viral, or how do they get the biggest audience growth? And what's my approach to that? That way we are speaking to what's relevant to them without stealing or copying or really, cloning someone else's content, which isn't going to make us any friends. Even more than that, it's going to make us feel like a copycat in the space. And that's really ultimately not going to bode well for us. And there's two different ways that we can have hooks. We can have a written hook with some text on the screen, which is basically like a headline, or we can have a visual hook, which is something that's visually captivating, where you're like, oh my God, like that is amazing. Or, oh my God, that looks really scary. Or, oh my God, that's so beautiful. I can't look away. Or, holy crap, what's happening there? Right? So we want to do at least a written hook, because those are the easiest to do. And if you can blend it with a visual hook, awesome. Because written hooks are much easier to produce, we're going to focus a lot of our effort there. But whenever you can very quickly do both, that's amazing, right? And the important thing here is we want to remember that different hooks are going to catch different kinds of fish, so to speak. So different kinds of bait are going to attract different types of people. And we want to make sure that all of the hooks that we're using are going to be perfect for our ideal person, so we can reel them in. So one of the most important things that we're going to be looking at here is putting a written or a visual hook within the first 3 seconds of the video. Why 3 seconds? Well, after 3 seconds, something happens in the algorithm where Instagram takes note, and they're like, they like this person. They're watching it a little bit more than 3 seconds. They're doing something that the algorithm knows as lingering. And when you're lingering on somebody's content, the algorithm is watching that, and they're like, I should show them more of this kind of thing. They like this. They're watching it. And so within 3 seconds, we want to put in that written hook, that headline on the screen, or something visual that's going to really capture their attention. And when we do that, like, that's where we really can start to capture the most attention. And that's one of the things I see people kind of going wrong with. Like, they might have something really great, but it's all audio based, right? And you got to remember that, like, people are watching Instagram mostly on the toilet with their sound off, right? So you have to have something visual on the screen, whether that's a hook or that visual movement, right? That's going to capture their attention, because most people are watching this where they can't hear it, right? So even if you are hilarious in the first few seconds of the reel, if they can't hear that, it's not really going to do much for them. Does that make sense? Sometimes when you're getting super freaking fancy, your hook can be how to get the thing that you want without the thing that you don't want, right? And it's really important that you guys remember, like, marketing is really easy. It's really simple in many ways, right? When we have this information, it becomes cut and paste easy. And the trick of the matter is, most people never get that initial information in the first place. But when we have it, it works like systematically and with ease and grace. Of all the people that I profiled, most of their content was helpful content. It was authority building content. It wasn't necessarily super funny all the time, but a lot of people who've done really well, really fast, have put a lot of text and information on the reel itself, right? Giving answers to common questions that come up about how to achieve the dreams, desires, etc. It's important to remember with reels, like, there's different kinds of content that's going to do well. And I guess what I see that, like, not working in the space is, like, when people are only doing one kind of content, when they're only doing that connection content where they're only laughing along with people. But then when it comes to buying, like, those people aren't getting the customers. It's because they're not doing enough authority reels, enough helpful reels. So yeah, they see you as your friend and they want to laugh along with you, but they don't trust you yet because you haven't had enough of a content mix so that you're bonding with people. So you're inspiring them, you're entertaining, and they trust you because they've learned so much from you already. Does that make sense? is going to have you really just like waste a lot of time, right? Um, you can actually just look at other creators that are outside of your niche and model and get inspired by what they do and go so much further, so much faster. So, one of the biggest mistakes I see and I've made myself in this process is trying to make art and trying to make something original, right? When you do that, it's going to take you so much time to do this when you can just use creative inspiration outside your niche and be perfectly ethical. You don't have to have the most amazing transition effects. Like, don't get intimidated by them. Do what you can, right? And understand that with each individual like reel that you do, they're going to get better and better and better. You do want it to be dynamic visually, right? So, what keeps our attention on video is when things are different, right? When things change on video, right? We can't help but look away. When we see someone in a different outfit, in a different setting, with a different like distance from the lens, like movement inherently makes our brain wake up and be like on high alert and be like, what's happening? What's happening? It takes our like inner caveman to like be like, wait, I'm here, I'm present. What's the change? But like, you don't have to have the fanciest transitions in order to go viral. What you do need to have is really good content, and you want to make these as dynamic as you can, as often as you can, right? But just being trendy isn't enough to have your content go viral or even like connect with your ideal person, right? Just because you're following a trend, it's great, but ultimately it's the content of your character. It's the content of what you have to say that's going to either connect or fall flat. Every single person I've personally helped like radically scale their business has had a team. It is an essential step to doubling and tripling your income. So obviously every single time I'm going to recommend that you get somebody to help you, just because it's how you go further faster and you stay in your genius zone and you make more money. Similarly, you could have a very simple two-shot narrative, right? Where you are like they have an audio, right? And you're getting all mad. You're like, da, 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 and then you slam your laptop down, right? And one hook could be like, this is how you feel when you don't get your dreams, desires, and outcomes, but you know it's totally possible, right? And then another week, it could be, a different hook, right? This is how you feel when XYZ bad thing happens that always happens to your ideal person, right? It's simple enough, right? Or it could be like the 7 ways to. So when people can't see you and they can't see that beautiful face of yours, right? They're not going to connect with you and they're not going to be interested. Also, it may be the level of eye contact. So if you can't see my eyes, right? If you can't see my eyes, then you're like, who is this person? I can't trust them. I don't know what's going on, right? So like people want to be able to see your eyes. So if you're doing these workout videos and it's like this, right? That people don't like that. They want to be able to see you. Right? So check that. Make sure that's in check. But if your reels aren't working and they're not getting you new customers, maybe it's because you have so much story content, but not enough content that's about the customer, right? That's going to get them tuning in again and again. So when you have that reel and it's in that 4 to 5 dimension, a lot of times I'm seeing smart creators put text way up here. And when you do that, then when someone is previewing it in the feed itself, that text up here is cut off. And then they can't be hooked by what you're saying because they can't see it. So within the box itself, within the video itself, you want to keep it in that middle box right about here, where you've got about a third left at the top and about a third left at the bottom where Instagram's text is going to go, and put your text in the middle. If you do that, more people are going to be seeing your stuff and they're going to be more engaged with it. And when she just switched it up and just used Instagram's text or TikTok's text, it got so much more push because the platform recognizes when you're using their text. So it's a good idea to make these reels with naked videos that you can do an in-shot video and video leap. I recommend that you outsource this stuff, but to each their own. Like a really extensive, expensive, like conversion vehicle But you do need to have an optimized Instagram bio. So that needs to have a really clear I help statement. So who do you help and how do you serve, right? So do you help, moms with getting their mommy body back to the bikini body? Like, is that how you help, right? However you help your ideal person, you want to make that super clear in the Instagram bio and optimize your bio. So when people land on your page, they instantly know what your page is about. There's no guessing. Someone should be able to look at your page and within seconds know exactly what this page is about. If someone can't figure it out in seconds, they're not going to follow. So that's why you may be getting a lot of views, but not followers. If you are getting followers, but they're not the right people, and it's actually just kind of clogging up your account and just making things even more frustrating because they're not really engaging, they're not your ideal person. There's two things that could be happening. First, it could be that you don't have the right bait or the right hook to capture the right fish or audience member, right? So you need to look at your messaging and go back to the steps at the beginning and look at your market research and look at your hooks and like making sure that you're getting the right bait for the right fish. The other thing that could be happening is you may need to look at your hashtags. So hashtags basically show Instagram, who is this for and what is this about, right? If you don't have that, Instagram doesn't really know where to send it. I'll go back to a Virginia Kerr metaphor. Hashtags are sort of like the address on the letter. So when you have that, Instagram knows where to send it. It knows like, oh, who does this go to? And like, what is this about? Like, what's the content here? And you're more likely to have more of the right people seeing your stuff. When you don't have that, then it could just be going to randos and it's like, all right, good luck, So you don't have to make a million hashtags, but you can actually just ensure that you're using some of the similar hashtags again and again. Usually they want to be below 220,000 people like in that hashtag. And usually you want to use like 3 to 8 hashtags. Create really great content that's like thoughtful and on point. Again, do not let perfection stand in the way of the good, right? Ultimately, you are going to get better and better and better every single time you do this. So don't beat yourself up in the process of trial and error, especially those of you who are naturally talented and naturally good at this, right? At the end of the day, right? It doesn't really matter how big, it doesn't really matter like if we go viral or not. What matters is, are we getting more customers, right? Are these reels nurturing people to further along, to change their lives, to build more trust, to build more intimacy, to further our mission and to get us more sales? And you don't need to make a crap ton of you don't need to do much to do that when you're doing this effectively. Like I've had clients come on board and they are amazing and they've made, I think 20 or 30 reels and already they're starting to build their audience very rapidly and get cold people reaching out to them, asking about what they do, trying to join their programs, buying their programs, right? And it doesn't take that much effort when you're using these things correctly.